It's opening week of the baseball season. Have we put all the labor strife enough behind it? I mean, is there anything left over from the last time when we were talking about the whole labor issues and stuff that people are going to hold against baseball as we get it underway again?
I don't think so. I think that they're fortunate enough to get started, relatively on time, only a couple of days of a delay. So I don't think that the masses will bother them at all.
So given that, what are you looking most forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to seeing, for me, baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. We've talked about this before. Not that the beginning of the season isn't just as important as the end, but you start to see trends and, players that are hot, teams that are hot, things of that nature that happen throughout the season. So for right now, I think it's more of just, what teams are going to be the teams that, we have to watch out for. Everybody can say things on paper. Who are those teams?
Like you got one that maybe everyone's not talking about? Well, everyone says the Dodgers and the Blue Jays almost seem like a consensus favorite.
I was going to say, there's a lot of talk about the Blue Jays. How do you count out the Red Sox? I think that the American League East is going to be an exciting division. The Yankees didn't make a lot of moves, but there were a lot of people that felt that they made, with Garrett Cole and some of the moves that they did make, they get Severino back. Pitching is, at the end of the day, pitching is the name of the game. Yes, you have to score, but if you have good starting pitching, you're going to go a long way. So, I think that that's what we'll see, coming out of the spring is, what teams, like I said, what teams have bolstered their starting rotation the best.
Tariq, I think you've got the most interesting team out there.
My New York Mets are the most interesting team, and I don't believe in jinxes, but I'm starting to, especially when you got a guy with Jacob deGrom who rested most of last season, comes into this season, and has another potential, hopefully not that serious sort of delay to start of his season. Then you go get Max Scherzer on top of that big season acquisition before that whole strike thing took place or labor dispute took place, and then he has a hamstring issue, which never really goes away over the next few months or so. So this is going to be very interesting. One thing, Dom Smith is hot. I like that. Pete Alonso, another year under his belt. So hopefully the bats can stay hot. They can get their arms ready to go. But let's just say I'm not starting with the greatest confidence with the Mets, which right now in power rankings, they're number 5 in Major League Baseball as one of the top teams to contend this year.
Yeah, it depends on which ones. There's a lot of variance right now.
Yeah.
You believe it curses? I mean, there was a team that seemingly tries to take itself seriously the last few years, and especially under new ownership. The things, if they're gonna go wrong, they seem to go wrong for that team.
Yeah, for the I do for the Mets. But then again, I can see it for the Knicks. I can see it for all of my teams over the years that everyone. I know for the Bills in the '90s, don't want to bring up a sore spot, but you kind of felt it there too. Not so much this year. I know we'll get to that segment in a minute. But it's bizarre because I think what's interesting about this is how is a team constructed. I think what you were talking about earlier is very important in the sense that the Dodgers went out, bought the team, got a championship. The Atlanta Braves did it differently. They managed differently. They went a different route. They didn't get the big name starter. They lose Freddie Freeman to the Dodgers, ironically. But the way they played last year, it worked. I mean, they didn't have a major ace. They were able to get their bullpen together. They got into the playoffs.
I love the way they did it because they lost Acuna and everyone gave up on the team.
I was just going to say the same thing. They lost one of their best players. And, that goes along the way to that whole chemistry in the clubhouse.
Yes.
And chemistry in the front office.
Yeah, absolutely. Building a team is not as easy as just putting the best players on the field. The Yankees have tried to do that for however many years, and it failed. And then they started to bring in young talent and, realize that, you do have to rely on your farm system. And you can fill pieces, but if you don't have a good core philosophy in the organization, and I think that when you're talking curses, unfortunately, when it comes to the Mets, is it really a curse or is it poor management, right? Is it a poor direction? Is it poor philosophy? Teams, you always hear it. A team that wins, they talk about, the clubhouse was this, or that you could see the team's dedication to discipline, across many sports. When you look at a champion, you will notice that champion has a certain
feel.
Yes, right. It has a character, right?
Yes.
There's something about them, and no matter what they are, whether they're gritty, whether they're smart, whether they're more talented, it doesn't matter, but they have something to it. It's too early in the season with baseball, so it's such a long season. We have to see how that plays out for a couple
One of
weeks.
these days, we're just going to go a half hour, start to finish, nothing but baseball with this guy. Just, I feel like I've got 10 unanswered questions. I got no time to use them.